The Super Mario Odyssey rain just won't let up. The Nintendo Switch is going to be home of the two best games of 2017. Another almost perfect review of Super Mario Odyssey has just rung in from Famitsu, the Japanese gaming review company, magazine, whatever you want to call it. It is a phenomenal score. They give this usually to Mario games. They usually skew high on Mario 3D games, but this is the best rated Super Mario 3D game of all time by Famitsu, tied with Mario 64. And as well as this game, earlier in the week, Edge Magazine gave Super Mario Odyssey a 10 out of 10, which they also gave Super Mario 64. Those are the only two Super Mario games they gave a 10 out of 10. So it's becoming more and more scary, really, to think about the similarities between right now Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild in comparison to 20 years ago, Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64. Those two games, like this, it feels like we're in March again. This feels identical. Like, I don't think any of us, as excited and hyped we get for Super Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, I don't think any of us really ever expect them to get a full-on 10 out of 10 huge score anymore. We went through the Wii U era where we got pretty good games, but overall the critics weren't on our side as Nintendo fans, and it felt like, yeah, we might get some good games here and there, but the peak of Nintendo was definitely in the late 90s with the Nintendo 64 in terms of critical acclaim from critics. But then Super Mario Odyssey got announced, Breath of the Wild came out, it was all over E3, 2016 being the best game of the event in 2016, and we saw some hope. The game looked phenomenal, and then of course Breath of the Wild came out, 10 out of 10 everywhere, and we were all shocked. It got a 97 on Metacritic. It's tied for the best game of the millennium right now. It is doing phenomenal, and no one really thought, I don't think, that Super Mario Odyssey would be able to top it. I was always more excited for Super Mario Odyssey because, Mario is my type of game. It's fun, it's cute, it's silly, it's crazy, and I thought, Breath of the Wild will be the Switch's most acclaimed game, while Mario Odyssey will be the Switch's most fun game. And little did I know back then, a few months ago when Breath of the Wild came out, that Super Mario Odyssey would follow the tracks of Breath of the Wild, and it's looking like it's going to get a upper 90s score. Okay, right now it's at a 99.5, and around that area, because Edge and Famitsu will be counted for Metacritic, and there is no possible way that it just doesn't feel real to me that the Nintendo Switch is now home to the two best games of the year, Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. You can say I'm overreacting and I'm hyping you up too much, but this is the exact same path Breath of the Wild went on, and I think we're kind of experiencing, it's kind of weird because it's 20 years, almost identical 20 years after those games, but it's kind of weird that I feel like Nintendo's back to the renaissance that they needed, The Wii was incredibly successful, but didn't spawn that great of critically acclaimed games. It did have Super Mario Galaxy, but it's shaping up that Mario Odyssey will be graded higher than both of the Super Mario Galaxy games. So this year, I think the biggest question for us Nintendo fans in terms of of inner fan army war will be, what is better, Super Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild? Breath of the Wild is probably going to be, it's safe to say Breath of the Wild, since we have a confirmed score of 97 out of 100. It might get a point or two higher than Odyssey, but Odyssey is shaping up to be really high, and I'm selfishly, I'm rooting for Super Mario Odyssey right now. It is possible that, based on these reviews already, there is a strong chance that it could tie or do better than Super Mario 64, and it could also do better than Breath of the Wild. So lots of exciting things to think about there, but then also to kind of burst your bubble, this is what they've rated all the other Super Mario games. You see they gave a 38 to 3D World, 38 to 3D Land, 37 to Galaxy 2, 38 to Galaxy, 37 to Sunshine, and then 39 to Mario 64. So the two highest, of course, being Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario 64. And one interesting thing about Famitsu is they have 4 people who grade it. They have their big 4 critics. And they each rate out of 10. So one person gave it a 10, the second person gave it a 10, the third person gave it a 9, and the fourth person gave it a 10, giving it a 39 out of 40. So, therefore, if you're solely going by score numbers alone, then Super Mario Odyssey is tied with Mario 64 for being the best 3D Mario ever. Interestingly enough, the only Mario game to get a 40 out of 40 was New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which is kind of an interesting opinion. They also gave a 40 out of 40 to Super Smash Bros. Brawl. So some of their opinions are kind of, left field. They don't typically go identical to what the typical is, but it's still a good sign to see that it's not a bad game. It's a 39 out of 40. I mean, you can only get 1 point better than that. And then, of course, Edge Magazine giving it a 10 was also phenomenal. So then you look at places like Reddit, and everyone's kind of joking around saying, like, shame on the low score. It looks like I'll be waiting for the hit the bargain bin. 39 out of 40. Literally unplayable. 39 out of 40. Too much water. Seriously, though, their choices are questionable at sometimes. The only Mario game they've given a perfect score to the New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad game, but compared to 64 Galaxy, give a perfect score to Super Mario Bros. Wii of all things, and the only Smash Bros. Game to receive perfect scores brought. So Dragon YXXX is basically summing up the thoughts of the Super Mario fan base right now. It's interesting, but I don't know. I really liked 3D Land and 3D World. I'm happy to give that a high score. So another kind of interesting thing that kind of burst the bubble of this high score is these are the games they gave a perfect score out of, which is only like 15 games or 25 games for Nintendogs. Yakuza 5, a bunch of Japanese games I've never really played before, Soul Calibur, Grand Theft Auto 5, Skyrim, Bayonetta, 3 Metal Gear Solid games, Pokemon Black and White, which, I mean, I think this is the game that, as Pokemon fans, you either extremely love it or extremely hate it. Only Super Smash Bros. They gave was Brawl, but they had a review Wii U version of Brawl, or Wii U Super Smash Bros. 4. So, very interesting. They gave Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, and Breath of the Wild a 40 out of 40. So, just a little history on Famitsu, but no matter which way you look at it, a 39 out of 40, excuse my math skills, but a 39 out of 40 is a 97.5. Add that with the 100 we got, divide that by 2, we are looking at a 98.75 right now. If you look at the current building chart for 2017, the number 1 rated game is Breath of the Wild with a 97. Skip the Wii U version, and the second best game is Persona 5 with a 93. Looking at the fact that it is a 98.75 right now, yes, there could be tons of reviewers who give this game a 70 or a 60. But looking at previous Mario games and seeing how this ship usually sails, we've seen 2 reviews and both have practically been near a perfect score. So it's very unlikely that it would get a bad score like this. The only reasonable bad score you can really think of is an 80 or a 90, which wouldn't even bring it. Let's say right now it just gets an 80 score. And then, I didn't do that math right. 0.985, which is the average, times that by 2 games you had, and it gets a 0.8. Then you divide that by 3, and the new score is a 92.3. And then you're going to get more games that are more reviewers who are going to give us 100 out of 100. There's lots of Nintendo reviewers who love Nintendo games. So even if worse comes to worse and this gets bad scores, it's still going to be one of the highest rated games of the year. But the likely direction this game is going to go in right now is the fact that we've only got 2 reviews and both give it a average of 98.5. That would be the number 1 game of 2017. As well as looking at other years, it's going to be the best game of... if you look at other years, you get to see that it's one of the best games of, the millennium. The best, 2016, the highest rated game was only a 93. In 2015, the best rated game was only a 96, which was Grand Theft Auto 5, which was a re-release. The best new game was Metal Gear Solid 5 with a 95. go to 2014. I mean, you can play this game for as long as you want. You'd then be tied with the highest Grand Theft Auto with a 97. And if it gets a 98, it's going to be the best rated game of the millennium right now, because Grand Theft Auto 5 is currently #1, tied with Breath of the Wild. So it's just an interesting game to play. Obviously, you can't predict that it's going to stay at this 98.5, but it is going to be a highly rated game no matter what way you spin the wheel. You know, it's going to be highly rated. So, I mean, if you look at Metacritic and you look at the other Mario games, just look up Super Mario 64, you see it's rated 94. Super Mario 64 3DS or DS 85. Super Mario Galaxy, you see that it is a 97 and a 97 again. Super Mario Sunshine, a 92. And then you can even look at the 3D Worlds, 93, and then a 90 for that one. So no matter which way you spin it, this is going to be a rated high game. And if you compare it to Mario 64, which is highly regarded as the best Super Mario game, this will hopefully be better than it. You know, there's no reason that Mario 64 has to be the peak of Nintendo. And what I'm trying to say with all of this is that, you know, for the last 10-15 years, everyone has said that Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, that whole span of Nintendo is the peak of Nintendo. And, you know, in a critical standpoint, like from reviewers and even sales and stuff, yeah, that it's true. At no time did Nintendo ever have like an Ocarina, and then a 64, Mario 64, and then you had the Metroid games at the time, and then you eventually had like Smash, and you had all in Metroid, or you had tons and tons and tons of amazing titles coming over and over again in the 64 era. And, you know, you obviously think of Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time from that time period. You think that is the peak of Nintendo in terms of good games. And, you know, as optimistic as all of us were for the Switch, I don't think any of us would have thought realistically that Nintendo could top that, you know, that easily. And not only is Nintendo bringing in a system that is selling much better than the Wii U and has better games, but they're delivering some of, if not the best games they have ever created. And it is only, what, 8 months? No, October 27th, the 10th month of the year. That's 7 months after the Nintendo Switch was released. We're only 7 months in, and we already have some of the best games of Nintendo's whole lifespan of being in a business. So it's crazy to think about. So will Mario Odyssey be the best Mario game of all time? Only time will tell. I would say that there's a strong chance that it could be. The fact that it's currently a 98.5 tells me that, you know, anything's possible. They officially have the Edge magazine one here, and then they'll add the Famitsu one soon. So it's just very, very, very interesting to think that Mario could be re-peaking and receive the best score it's ever gotten and become the best Mario game of all time. Currently on Metacritic, it's a 10 out of 10, so that'd be crazy. But like Breath of the Wild, Odyssey is a new entry in a long-running series that belies its age with sprightly invention. Taking big risks with an established formula and having all of them pay off handsomely, Mario might be getting on a bit then, but a dinosaur? This astonishing adventure proves he's anything but. So, you know, this is just crazy, and I cannot wait to play this game. If you want more Nintendo Switch Mario Odyssey content, make sure to subscribe. I'm making some crazy videos about Mario Odyssey soon, gearing up for the new game that's coming out in only 10 days, and it's crazy. I cannot wait. This is going to be my game of the year. Will Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey be the best game of the year? Only time will tell, but I would say that Mario Odyssey is for sure competition for Breath of the Wild now. Thank you for watching. For more Mario Odyssey news, reviews, and all that jazz, hit subscribe, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.